Your SSDI, SSI, and Social Security questions are answered as you prepare to get a second stimulus check. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update for today. This one's about SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, in which we answer your incredible questions about the check. We'll be getting to some of your 636 great questions from yesterday's video, but let me answer some broad stroke questions, which I'm seeing a lot, and I even saw it to this morning's, earlier today's video, which was really well watched. First, a lot of people still asking, can back pay on child support be taken from a second stimulus check? No. The rule is for the second stimulus check, as drafted under all the proposals, is they cannot take that money for child support from a second stimulus check. They can take it from your first stimulus check. Next, Jeff Hansen, who's a longtime supporter of this channel, answered, I have some children. Will they get a second stimulus check? Yes. And he asked, their dependents. So yes, the important thing to understand with the second stimulus check is the whole confusion about dependents is gone. So there is only one scenario that you have to worry about. Ultimately, all dependents, whether children, college age, adult age, all dependents get a second stimulus check. There's only one dependent who doesn't get a second stimulus check. It's that fourth one. As you've been watching these videos, if you have more than 3 dependents on a tax return, that fourth one doesn't get the second stimulus check. Next, one viewer asked a really great question, which says, I have a representative payee, but I'm also on Social Security and I'm also dependent. Who will get the second stimulus check? The representative payee. The representative payee always trumps everything else. That is the person who gets anything before anyone else. So let me get to some of your great questions. Just Choosing Mom, Cruising Mom. They need to determine the people who don't make a lot of money should be based on this year's income, not last year's. We all had a job. Well, they won't know this year's income because you haven't filed the tax return. That's the reason that they don't know it. Vanessa, who is looking at the comments while listening to LALATE? I can't help it, but I love the comments. I do too. For Perfecto Areola, they need to speed up. Half the politicians already got one foot in the grave, including myself. I agree 100%. If you've watched our other videos, I've been very critical that this second stimulus package is coming so late in the discussion, so late in the voting. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're not in the middle of a Russian holiday or a cruise around the Bahamas. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People should be working and getting things done. Tracy McDonald, how can they put a stipulation when we're all going to get through something? America should be ashamed of themselves. They should. They knew there was a pandemic in March, and they got stuff done for March and May, and then they sort of said, okay, I'll see you in a couple, 8 months from now if problems are settled, if problems come back, I'll be on vacation, so don't bother me. It's crazy. Chrissy Surface, 6 $2,000 checks will get us on the road to recovery. Yes, I agree. So this is really the great news that we have here going into next week. We have the stimulus check itself. The stimulus check has a lot of great news for us. First, we know there's going to be a second stimulus check. All the proposals say that there's going to be a second stimulus check whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or the White House. That's the great news. Second thing that we know about great news is, which I said a few minutes ago, which is all dependents will get a second stimulus check. Gone is that mess of confusion of, they're 18, they're 17, they're 16, they're 65, they're 40. All that confusion is gone. Everyone's getting a stimulus check if you're a dependent. That only one person who isn't is the one who's the fourth dependent on the tax return. Remember, if you have more than 3 people on a tax return as dependents, that fourth will not receive that stimulus check. Next, we know generally when the second stimulus check will be approved. It will be approved as part of the second stimulus package, which is different than the check. The package involves a lot of other things besides the check. And that vote will be around August 7th or August 8th or August 9th. And if it's not done that day, it'll be the 10th, approximately. The earliest that you would receive the check would be around late August, because it takes a certain number of weeks for the IRS to get it to you. And it could come as late as September if you receive payments and things like that by paper check. Next, a lot of viewers ask me questions like this, so let me answer this one. I'm on SSDI, but I only make this, or I'm on unemployed, I'm on Social Security, but I also have this problem. It doesn't make a difference. You still get a second stimulus check. Another viewer also asked earlier today, and I saw this, it was a great question. It says, I was on SSDI, now I'm off, or I'm on, or something like that. I was on one of these benefits, now I'm off. Well, do I still get a stimulus check? Yes. I'm just referencing that fact of, that situation, so don't worry about it. Last, a lot of people are still asking about Mitchie and Stevie's $40,000 chatter. We don't know where that chatter is. We'll see the bill next week. If you're new to this channel, thanks for joining in. I mean, we're now at about 10,000 new viewers a day. If you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Mitchie last week said he wants a $40,000 cap for anyone on getting a second stimulus check based upon 2019 numbers. That has caused a realm of confusion on this channel. People are asking me to interpret what the man from Kentucky thinks every time he has a piece of chicken. I really don't know, and I really don't care. I'll be waiting for when he puts it in writing, which will be next week. But generally, I think what he's saying is $40,000 per person, 2019 earnings, $90,000 per couple, 2019 earnings. And yes, I don't agree with him, but that's the way he writes stuff. James Gordon. Yeah, all the politicians took care of their corporate crony buddies. Now time to give some breadcrumbs. Maybe. I love his comment, James Gordon. Really great comment. I mean, the first stimulus package was so covered with pork. I mean, who's the one talking about drain the swamp? Big business got big business money. They got, corporate America got big bailouts, and the American citizens, boy, I mean, they just got nothing. I mean, I give you the positive, I give you the negative, I give you the, I do not sugarcoat stuff, but you heard my report earlier this week that talked about the lowest income and most struggling Americans who were eligible for a first stimulus check and should have gotten it, still have not gotten it because they, lack basic necessities like computer access, computers. They didn't know that they were supposed to go to websites to put in bank account information. These are people who don't file tax returns because they don't have to. They don't make enough money. And there was no one out there helping them. It's so disconcerting. I mean, you're the federal government. You know these people exist. You know they need help with, providing bank information or home address. It's only two things you're asking. And you as the federal government aren't doing anything to help them get that information to you. You're instead saying, I can't find you. It's really, it really makes me angry when I hear things like that. Luis Hernandez, $2 trillion, but no bank bailouts. Tammy Oligon, when are the checks coming exactly? Times are getting rough. Late August, early September is the best routing we could see. There's one scenario that has a mid-August, and that is if the IRS really has some sort of, savvy, sophisticated way to get these checks faster to you because they did the first stimulus check. There are news reports that says perhaps the IRS has been ramping up to get them to you faster. I think it's purely speculative. I have not seen indications that they have gotten those computer systems together. Tina Brown, $2,000 every month would be good. Biggie Bruce, what about those ones who've been laid off? I mean, this stimulus package doesn't really take into consideration what's happening now. Mitchie and Stevie don't really think about the 2020 situation when issuing a stimulus check. They want to look at what happened to you in 2019, which is, we've heard this discussion before. I mean, if you are my SBA EIDL viewers, you have Javita Carranza looking at your 2019 earnings to determine how much she wants to give you in the middle of a pandemic. Well, it's a little confusing. Robin King, I'm in Sneeze, Florida on SSDI and SSI. I need reoccurring payments. I agree with you. Angela, I wish we can get one now. I don't even make $1,000 a month. I agree 100% with you. It's too little, too late. I'm glad. It's great news you're getting a second stimulus check. It's really, really great news. But it should be better news. It should be better news. The check should have been there in April for the month of April, in May for the month of May. Instead, you got one check for the month of March if everything was lined up correctly. You did not get a check for the month of June or July. So, I mean, where are these checks, Congress? Come on now. What's going on? Jan Cook, I get SSI, I have direct deposit. Yes, so you would likely receive your second stimulus check by direct deposit. Anita Edmonds, these folks are very wishy-washy. We just all pray. I agree. Linda Dearman, God bless us for keeping us updated. Well, thank you. That's really kind. Stan Goular, are we getting a can of beans instead of money? Tell you the truth, I would not want to eat Mitch McConnell's beans. Thank you. I bet they are tasteless like him. Jeff, I just said that. Jeff Norbert, too little too late, don't even care anymore. White House should have issued payments by executive order weeks ago. Yes, we did a video on that. We actually did a video on that when we were a smaller channel. Some of the comments were like, the White House can't do that. Yeah, the White House can do that. And the Federal Reserve can do that also. We had a whole series of videos. You may not have seen them because we were a smaller channel by then. We did videos that the Federal Reserve has the complete authority to issue stimulus checks. Not only do we know this, but it was asked and answered of the Federal Reserve during a congressional hearing. They said, don't you have the authority to issue stimulus checks? Yes. Do you have the money allocated for stimulus checks? Yes. We allocated it back in May. Well, have you used it? No. So why aren't you using it? Well, get back to me on that. So all these bodies besides Congress have the authority to issue stimulus checks separate and apart from Congress. Why haven't they done it? They need new people. Bobby Montgomery. Yes, electronically put in my bank. Yes, I think electronic delivery will be a great idea. Deborah. My son claimed me as a dependent in 2019 tax return. I draw Social Security disability by direct deposit. He will most likely make over the allowed amount for income. Will I get a stimulus check? Oh, that is a really great question. Did you hear a great question? So she makes too much money. Her son makes too much money, but she's a dependent on his return. You know what? This is the same question that Jeff Hansen said. So he said he thinks he doesn't qualify himself for a stimulus check, but would his daughter get a stimulus check? I think so. I think so. There is nothing written in these bills that says the parent disqualifies the child. Now, ultimately, the IRS could mess everything up. I mean, there's always that possibility. There's nothing written, whether it's Deborah's son or Jeff, who's a viewer of this channel, who are the lead on the tax return and make too much money to get a stimulus check. There's nothing in the way the bills are proposed that says the dependents, here is Deborah herself, or Jeff's sons, Jeff's daughters, would not get a stimulus check. Everything points that they would. Now, I freely admit, this sounds like a great spot for the IRS to mess up. I can just smell it happening because maybe they're looking at the wrong thing. I'm going to stay on top of that question because that's a great question. Luis Galindo, they want to give a check to people. They don't make a lot of money. That means they're giving a check to people who don't pay taxes, and we, the middle class, get taxed to the bone. We're going to get the shaft. I mean, that's a great comment. This channel represents everyone's views, whether you're, SSDI, SSI, small business, self-employed, employer, employee. We represent everyone's interests. And, I think it is insanely ridiculous to say you're only going to stimulus check to people who individually make less than $40,000 a year. I mean, what are we doing here, Mitch? I mean, why are we being so miserly? And why do you think it is cautionary to be so miserly? All the lead economists have said, do not be cautionary about spending. We are in the middle of a pandemic. The pandemic is not going anywhere. The pandemic is like, hi, here I am. The pandemic has not left the room. It is still in the room, the pandemic. Unemployment rates are going up. 17th week of unemployment claims, topping over 1 million new claims per week. So the situation is not getting better. It's getting worse. New lockdowns. And yet you have these few people who are very, very rich, like Mitch, saying, I don't want to spend a lot of money. Well, first of all, it's not your money, Mitch. Second of all, you weren't elected to be so miserly, especially in the case of a pandemic. So it makes me very troubled that people would not realize that the situation is so serious, that we are at a financial cliff, And that if you are a billionaire, millionaire Mitch, you would also be worried about your own, butt, because you could lose fortunes. I mean, your entire economic universe around you could also collapse as well. So if you are so egomaniacally inclined, Mitch McConnell, don't think that you are in a nice bubble of happiness, because your happiness could pop as much as everyone else's bubble has already popped. Do you like that expression? I like that expression. So there you go. I mean, it really, you need to overspend. All the economists say you have to overspend when we're talking about a stimulus package. So when we're talking about six $2,000 checks, or one $2,000 check every month for 6 months, that's not overspending. When we're talking about a $1,200 single check, and Mitch McConnell says, don't ever come back to me to ask for another stimulus package, that is not being cautionary. That is hoping that everything is going to be perfect, which it's not. And when it doesn't become perfect, which it has become imperfect, then things can implode very, very quickly, and the economy can go in a tank, and people can be in a very bad situation. Dana Crowder, thank you for keeping us updated. You're the only one that tells it like it is, to the point. $2,000 a month can really help us. I mean, it really can. This $1,200 single check doesn't work. You know why it doesn't work? Because they're just not being given often enough. If they had given you a $1,200 check in March, and one in April, and one in May, and one in June, we wouldn't be sitting here arguing, okay, should it be 2,000, should it be 12? No, because you have already received a couple checks by then. Problem is, people have not received a couple checks by then. People have received a mere $1,200 or nothing, which doesn't cut it, folks. Shauna Weeder, Canada Senate. Yeah, I'm going to skip the Canada remarks because we're not in Canada, and it just makes me angry. It's not good to be angry. Jennifer Harris, when is it going to come out? Today or tomorrow, next week, and next month? I need it to come out with it. You need to elect a new political official set, because those political officials have given themselves vacations after vacations, and they're on vacations now. So they can't pass anything this week. They can talk about what they want to pass, which is what they're going to do next Monday. Mitchie and Steve Mnuchin and Mitch McConnell are going to roadshow like they are on, some tour for Led Zeppelin. They're going to tour the American press with their second stimulus package written by Republicans. Of course, it's still not introduced as legislation because Congress is on vacation. Bonnie Rodom, I know a fact that the people on lower income need the stimulus ASAP. For example, I'm losing $800 a month, and that's next to nothing. I'm 70, I have no car, I have no way to pay for cab rides, which is sky high. Let's be real, I can't afford to even get a doctor's appointment, so my health suffers. So I need help now. So thank you so much for keeping us informed. I really feel Bonnie Rodom's remarks. I really do. And what makes me very angry about it is that, and I try not to be angry because I'm trying to keep you motivated and positive and smiling, but is the cutting off of unemployment benefits next week, that $600 from the federal government. There's so many things that are being chopped at the leg next week or the week after that makes me worry for people like Bonnie, because she may not have been employed before this pandemic, but maybe someone that that someone is near around her was employed, is now unemployed, and they don't have benefits. So you suddenly see a whole domino effect of people not getting what they're supposed to be getting, whether it's Bonnie, the person next door, and it gets very bad very quickly. Patricia, SSA just made me my own payee. I have a payee when I get my first stimulus check. How can I be sure I get the second stimulus check if I have a different electronic card? Boy, I don't know that answer. I don't know if the electronic card changes, what happens there. Ashiha, I'm looking forward to the second stimulus check. Lucindy, what about the people who don't have direct deposit? How will they get their money? Well, we have to hope that the federal government does not approve this second stimulus package as only a direct deposit program. If it does, boy, you're going to see me making videos left and right explaining you how to set up a bank account if you've never had one. I mean, there are so many people in the American public that have never had a bank account. So to tell people they're going to get their second stimulus check by bank account is a very scary thing for me to report. It should be voluntary. It should not be mandatory. Mitch said that before his wife helped herself to money she had no business taking. Then he changed his tune. I love that. Carolyn, I filed my taxes, but I got a new bank account since then. So the IRS has my new bank account. Now I went to my tax lien. I filled out a form to get my banking information. Plus, I'm on SSDI income deposited into my account. Very well said. Sherilyn, we need help with utility bills. Yes, watch my rent video today. It's really a good one. It's really a good video. It talks about free rent and free utilities in some jurisdictions across the country. Please watch that video. Adams Newman, people around here, especially in Florida, don't have computers. That's my point. Don't federal government require people to do things by computers? A lot of people don't have computers. A lot of people don't have internet access. A lot of people don't have cell phones, or cell phones that do, technical things like go in and submit forms. So you're putting the requirement on the lowest, on the least financially able person to do the most technically savvy job. It's just mind-blowing. Believe me, I try to get assistance. It's a nightmare. I'm trying to help my neighbor. Mark Desmond, last time the stimulus check was stolen, oh my God. The U channel, do we have to claim all of this next year? By the way, I love you. You're a breath of fresh air. I love your really cherry nature. Well, that's very kind. The stimulus check is not taxable. I've gotten that question before. Let me answer that. The stimulus check is not taxable. The first stimulus check is not taxable. Someone said one of my remarks the other day was not clear, so let me clarify for you. The first stimulus check, if you were behind on taxes to the federal government or the state government, they could take it from your stimulus check. I'll repeat that again. If you're behind on taxes for the federal government and the state government, they could have taken that out of your first stimulus check. They can't from the second stimulus check. That does not mean your check is taxable. That's different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you didn't pay your taxes. And they're like, oh, you didn't pay your taxes. Let me take it from your stimulus check. That is only for the first stimulus check, not for the second one. And again, the second stimulus check is not subject to child support taking either. Really great news. Thank you for staying with me. A lot of great videos today. Like and subscribe to this channel. Stay positive, stay motivated, stay laughing. I'm thinking about Mitchie and all his crazy stuff that he does. And have a great weekend and see you tomorrow. Stay for LA for more.